Hey, what is up everybody? Blades for here, and today I for you guys another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video, guys, we're going to be doing the build guide for the man, the myth himself, Cherish, in which this guy has a lot to offer to the team. I won't lie, he's one of the few characters that without a doubt is actually really freaking good, and boy oh boy does he actually do a ton, especially for teams that are really revolved around just defense and sustaining, like Yusuke himself. So inside this video, guys, we're going to be actually showing exactly what he's really prominent at doing, his main good pluses and his minuses depending on how everything does go, and just like that with how we just absolutely murdered that entire thing, exactly showing what he can do. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so as usual, we're going to talk about this character and should you dupe him out. Now, as if you guys were like me or anyone who is actually trying to prepare for the better character here, aka Haru, a lot of us is probably not summoning on this character. But that does not mean the character's bad per se. First of all, A0 up is actually pretty darn good with this guy, and for a standard character, he's actually really high tier on the list of being useful and just different tier list in general. This character overall brings a lot to the limelight. He's just placed in the wrong moments of time of how characters do go out and how they're going to actually come in out, with Haru being our first DPS. But all in all, awareness wise, he's really worth duping out, to be honest. If you can get him off standard banner as much as possible, he's really helpful. Just talking about his at least A0 is not even bad either. His A0 is actually fairly helpful, to say the least here, because if we actually take a good look at it here, at the start of the battle, this man is actually able to give something called an upright mark. This upright mark actually allows you to resist certain amounts of damage, pretty much for the most part, and if we do take damage with this mark on us, we actually get us a current couple stacks of valor, which overall will help us out in just like defense precision, or at least defense what is it called, percentages. So this alone is actually pretty helpful. Overall, it's helping us with that sustainability that we really do like with our Yusuke, and really kind of beefs up the team a little bit. But the only reason why the A0 is sometimes not enough for at least the whole team itself is because Yuki actually helps out a little bit more with her being A16. She's a 4-star, it's easier to get that A6, and makes the A0 look a little overshadowed compared to what A6 Yuki can really do. But when it does come down, seeing he is a standard character and you will most likely be able to pull this guy a little bit more, the A1 makes him a lot more, I'm not gonna lie to you, way more better, like way better in general here. So for the A0, this one is called I Will Be Brave Against the Strong here, and pretty much for the most part with this one is you get more stacks of valor, once again allowing you to actually get more of that defense type deal here, but also it allows you to actually get Justice Oath. Justice Oath is going to help you increase your allies pin rate as well. Once we do actually have this in the A1, you're actually decreasing the amount it takes to get Justice Oath, so you can easily get that increased pin rate even quicker. This is actually really helpful. See, not only is this character now boosting your defense, but also allowing you to deal a ton more damage to the enemy based on having that A1. Now, as usual, A2 and like A4 and A5 are usually always kind of like meh, but A3 is actually pretty darn good for this character as well. It's pretty much called is I will fight for those who cannot fight. This is another actual awareness that, all in all, I'll be honest with you, feel like is better than the A6. The A3 to me feels a lot more useful than the A6 in all honesty here, in which for each stack of upright mark, which we're always going to be having this here, we're actually able to gain a certain percentage of defense here, and when the upright mark does actually expire, we actually get some HP from this. This is good for us because this character, no matter what, at the A3 or just in any parts of this, seeing we're going to build him with a lot of defense, his shields are going to be really strong. So if you literally cannot lose the shield, you're then able to restore said HP that you had, or at least that you need from said shield. So if I had 5,000 shield left, but the shield was not broken and I'm still at 5,000, that gives me 5,000 health. So no matter what, that sustainability will always be there. This is really helpful, especially seeing that the A3, it does this here in general, because you're not only helping out that defense side, but you're also helping out that HP side. So if you did lose some HP, you're definitely going to be getting that back. Now the A6 here, although it is good, it's not as good to the A3 as me. It's of course overpowered, but A3 is definitely more of a thing that a lot of people are going to want more than the A6, of course. And the reason for this is because A6 here is the I will be faithful in love, and pretty much whenever we get Justice Oath, we're actually able to get Justice Judgment. This allows us to increase our crit rate. I'll be honest with you, right? Our team is heavily sustainability based on HP, defense, and things like that. Pin rate, damage dealt he already gives us with some of his skills, so the extra crit rate is nice to have, but as much as actually having this A3, I would say it's kind of on the lackluster side of things, which is why I put it kind of in that aspect of it's okay. It's not the best A6, but it definitely is pretty darn decent and doesn't really hinder the character at all, pretty much. So I definitely gotta say that's actually pretty still nice. Just it could have been a little bit better when it did come down to this character. But that is just the character, should you dupe him or not. And seeing he's a standard character, as always try to dupe him. If anything, try to get him to A3, but do not summon on this guy. Just wait till standard banner later. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the next one, which is actually going to be talking about the skill priority. Okay, so going over the skill priority with this character here, things are a little interesting. Now, we did explain some of the skills, or at least in our previous videos, but we have not explained it in this video for the most part. But there is a clear as day thing that we are going to be going over for the actual skill priorities of what you want to be using. The first one that we're going to be taking a look at is actually the skill 3, and the skill 3 is really busted here. This skill 3 actually allows us to really utilize as much as possible when it comes down to getting those stacks for all of our allies, getting a ton of shield here, and also giving us holy protection, which actually gives us a decent bit of resistance to different at least attacks here, while also, yes, there is more, giving us a knockdown shield and increasing our damage dealt to the enemies for 2 whole turns. This is a major skill. Without a doubt, this is always going to be the first thing you want to get done. It does have a 1-turn cooldown, much like how Yusuke has a 1-turn cooldown with at least his counter. This here is your big boy move. You mainly are going to be using this to really kind of get everything solidified after you use your skill 2, in which once you get that done, you're giving everyone this huge shield, giving everyone these all-out buffs, and you just go ham from there. This skill, I feel like, is definitely the most one that you want to kind of prioritize. It'll help you out a lot no matter what stinking team you're going with, especially if it's sustainability. And I feel like it's actually one of his best skills that he always is going to have here. So this skill, with everything it does offer, I would highly suggest make this your first priority to actually max out. Going ahead and actually talking about the next skill that we want to go for is actually going to be the skill 2. Now, skill 2 is also really good as well. There's nothing bad about skill 2, but the reason why I put it a little bit below for skill 3 is skill 3 helps out everybody, gives us massive buffs, while skill 2 only helps out one person. Now, think of this as Yuki's skill 2, where she gives pretty much our character a shield here and some nice old buffs. Well, this is called honor protection here, and it actually does pretty much the same thing, where we give a huge shield to one person, and we also give a stack of upright mark. Now, remember, upright mark allows us to get more defense as well, and increases our defense by a certain amount. This is going to be for at least 2 whole turns here, and pretty much when we do have this effect, if we're above a certain amount of HP, which if I'm right was around 60% here, this actually gives us a chance of being attacked. Now, we all know Yusuke. He's going to get attacked no matter what, because he draws in that actual attention. So no matter what, that first part's kind of null and void to an extent, but at the same time, it's still very helpful if you're actually looking for a person to be a taunter. Now, if there is a actual chance that we are lower than that, we won't actually get that taunt amount, at least that taunt value, which does kind of suck. But at least if you're in the sustainability type team, you're always going to get that taunt value, which is really helpful. At the same time, we also do get a stack of upright mark on the next turn just for having this, so that's really good. Now, apparently, if we are in a certain different function, which is this one here at the bottom being Justice Oath, Justice Oath actually allows us to get a higher shield as well. So as long as we have at least an upright mark and we use this skill, we could have a chance of getting Justice Oath, and this will give us a even better shield for 2 whole turns, which makes this actually very helpful for at least the entire kit and everything that Cherish really revolves around. So I feel like this would be your main second one that you want to go for when it does come down to at least the priority list. Next priority skill is going to be your skill 1. Now the skill 1 is still somewhat helpful, but it's more of the attacking type side for this character. I would definitely say if you did not want to go with skill 1, no, honestly, I kind of prefer the highlight over it, and that's only just because the highlight helps us out, not only just a nice little helpful little damage buff, but it really helps us out mainly inside of that defense category. While if we use the skill 1 here, skill 1 is mainly, yeah, we get some attack here, we get also what's it called, some buffs being upright mark. If we took some damage here, we actually can get valor, which can allow us to get justice oath, and it's pretty much like a setup type of skill 1. And I mean, it's pretty decent to use. You could use this as your third priority. In all honesty, I feel like with the third priority here, you can go kind of 50-50 on either the highlight or the skill 1. But skill 1 might be very helpful if you wanted to set up, and then you can do the highlight last, being really a huge buff whenever you want to use Cherish's actual highlight here. So in all honesty, skill rotation 3, 2, 1, and then the highlight is what you really want to go for. But now that we've went over that madness here, let's go ahead and take a look at this character's actual gear set here. So all right, let's get into it. All right, so when it comes down to this character's weapons, in which I accidentally said build that we were going to go over first, but we're going over the weapons as usual. When it comes down to his weapons are actually pretty darn useful, and you don't need his 5-star, but it is very well at least wanted to have his 5-star. But for the 4-star, which is actually very much so helpful as well, this thing actually does a lot for us. In fact, here it actually helps out our shield amount, going from an 8.7 percentage all the way to a 16.53 percentage as well. This in total is already good enough for us. Okay, this character is meant for boosting our defense, in which the 5-star weapon does boost our defense and help us out with the shield type of department, but this here is all we need. We already boost our defense enough here, so having the 4-star weapon isn't really just a bad thing to do. We're getting ourselves a decent bit of shield here, and it also increases our shield effect by an extra 13.7 percentage, going up to a 26.03 percentage when a targeted ally is below 60% health. So if somehow you do lose a little bit of your sustainability and you're at least taking some hefty damage here, if you are below 60% HP, you're actually getting yourself more shield off of this here, so it kind of applies that extra shield effect to you immediately, and this will help you at least live and have that sustainability that you do need. Now granted, if you had the 5-star, if you had a really good team here, you shouldn't be getting this low in general, or you should already have a really strong shield, but the fact is, this weapon can sustain you enough. You don't have to have the 5-star for this character whatsoever. It is not necessary. Heck, 5-stars are really not necessary for a lot of characters, but this one particularly is not a bad 4-star. It's actually a really good 4-star here, and it covers a lot of ground. So not having the 5-star with this one is actually not too bad, and it helps you out a lot with that shield effect. Now, when it does come down to the 5-star, boy oh boy, take a seat, because this 5-star is actually really busted here. The 5-star here, if you are a whale, can all the way scale to an 87% of just defense, but the lowest, of course, just by having an A0 or R0, is 45% defense. That's already really good because we're beefing up our character even more so than we already have them beefed. So that's already good that we do have that. But it adds upon this here. It also increases our shield from the upright mark from 30% if we do have this actual weapon maxed out, all the way to 60%. And then for each upright mark that we do have, it will then increase our damage bonus by an 8 percentage, going up to 15.5 percentage for 2 whole stacks. Meaning you can kind of leverage out on a good almost like 32% if you have this weapon maxed out, and a good 16% for damage bonus itself. That's actually really nice, especially when it goes off of each actual upright mark that we do have. This is really good. It's more of an extra kind of thing on there here as an add-on. It's not like Marion, where with her you kind of need her 5-star to make her really good, but with at least this character, you don't need this 5-star. It's more of just like, hey, if you got the chance to get the 5-star, then get the 5-star. If you really want to get it, then get it, because it's actually going to be kind of worth it. So I definitely gotta say this one I like a lot here. It's really good, but I feel like for Cherish itself, you can definitely go ahead and just stick with the 4-star and not really regret a thing about it. But that's mainly my opinion on this one. You guys let me know how you think about that one, but we're gonna go ahead and go into his build guide. All right, so going into his actual set here, you pretty much want to build him a little bit, or if not just like Yuki here for the most part. But seeing I don't have all the card sets just on me, I'm going to pull up our puppet, because this is the best way to actually build this character. So if we take a look at our puppet here, this is the card sets that you actually want to use on him. It's going to be the pure on just peace set here, which is going to thrive into giving you more shield effects here, as well as the higher shield in general. And then of course we want to have the faith set here as well, which is utterly just going to help us out no matter what we're doing. This is just all going to be buffing our shields, making our team absolutely tanky and sustained as much as possible. So you want to make sure you have both of these card sets on at all costs. Now, what would you use for the actual main stats? Lucky thing for all of us is this character is absolutely easy to build. There should be no problems building Cherish whatsoever here, because as always, HP for the sun, that's always going to be HP, but every other thing, instead of actually having this here, every other thing should be defense. So quite literally, a defense main stat on the moon, defense main stat on the actual star, and a defense main stat on the Saturn, or at least the planet side of things here. All of those should be defense percentage. None of those should be anything else, and that's mainly because defense percentage is what allows him for his bigger shields. Defense percentage is just what's helping us deal more damage when he does buff us, and that is all we need to utilize. Now when it does come down to the substats, you kind of want to go by that same, at least mentally, kind of thought process here, and that's mainly going to be because we're going to be looking for more defense. So flat defense is going to be your best friend. Getting flat defense is going to be absolutely helpful. Getting anything that is SP recovery, which luckily right here, that's what this one is right here at the bottom, SP recovery. That you want to make sure you're getting that on all your card sets here to make sure he does not run out of any SP. You want to make sure he's absolutely able to sustain your whole team at all times. The last thing that you want to go ahead and actually go into for at least your substats is going to be HP percentage. If you can get those 3 substats, you're pretty much in the ballpark. Anything else that you want to have on them, it's all up to you. You could utilize a little bit of speed if you do want to, but at all costs, you kind of want him not to be too speedy, because you need him to go second after the man Yusuke. So once Yusuke sets up, then you want to set up with him, or either something of that sort. You got to make sure at all costs that you're able to fully set up your Fox and make sure everything's going well. So just make sure he has a ton of defense. It's going to be very helpful when you do have this said defense, and I feel like a lot of you guys are really going to appreciate that. But all in all, that is what you want for the set. There's no other thing that you really should be running on this guy. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, but that is mainly his actual build for the most part. Let's get into his best team comps. Now team comp wise, this guy can work in many freaking ways here, and one of the ways that I feel like I enjoy this character the most is with this team right here. Now instead of here, you're always going to be utilizing Puppet, because with this team, you're only meant to sustain yourself. There's nothing else you really want to do with this character. There's absolutely nothing that you need to really do with this character. Normally I would say replace Yuki, but at this point it's kind of nice to have Yuki in here, because you're getting that double huge shield on one single person, getting all those buffs, and that's really going to be very, very helpful, especially if you need to make up for Cherish's lack of like dupes. Or let's say you don't have A1, or you don't have dupes on Cherish for a while. Yuki being here is going to cover up that base here and really help you out. Now if you do have Cherish absolutely maxed, using this team is actually still really, really good and useful, but you could very well go ahead and use Ren mainly for extra defense shredder, things like that. You could very well use Ren in this team, but I would advise kind of sticking to just straight up defense, defense, defense. There's no healers really needed for this one, because they all kind of buff attack, when really what we want is as much defense as possible, making this the best team that you can really go for. Now if you can't utilize this one, right? You can't utilize this one. There are some other teams you could very well use. So of course you could go ahead and take out Yuki. This is perfectly fine if you take out Yuki. I said before, using Rin is very nice. If anything, you could very well use the man Leon. Now I know, but he buffs crit. That's the whole reason why we're doing this, because of course with Cherish here, we're able to buff our defense, damage dealt, and things of that nature. And of course, if Yusuke does crit, he actually does a lot more damage as well. Seeing if you can crit, you can also get that nice little crit damage. Well, lucky for us, Leon helps us out with that crit rate and crit damage type aspect here. And not only are we can use this team for like a decent defense here, but you can actually swap out Puppet, use Rico to actually furtherly help us out with at least the damage dealt, lowering for the enemy and making sure they can take more of that damage from us and get more of those buffs from us, or at least, oh, not from them, sorry, more of those buffs for our team themselves here. This will help us deal a lot more damage as well. So this team is also very viable, but there are at least one other team that, much as I don't want to do this here for this team is actually very useful as well. Now, in all opinions, I feel like Yusuke is the only person Cherish is really going to be really helpful with, but there is one other team that might catch you off guard that you really might end up using as well. So if you're a fan of Ryuji, this is actually a team that you can utilize that's fairly dang good as well, if you are using Ryuji here, or at least you want to use Ryuji and Cherish together. This is allowing you not only to defend yourself when you are setting up Ryuji's move sets here, but you're also getting some nice buffs, being damage dealt increase. You're also getting those damage downs, or at least damage dealt increase to the enemies here. You're also able to boost up your crit rate, boost up your crit damage, boost up your attack. Everything that you need here, you're able to do so while keeping Ryuji alive. And this is something that he really needs, especially if you wanted him to set up properly and deal that big boy damage. I feel like this is a decent team overall. I would not use it myself, seeing that I do have Yusuke here, but it is a good team that you can use nonetheless. But for his best team, without a doubt, you're going to be using something with him, or at least Cherish, Yusuke, and then Yuki. This is probably going to be the best team that you really want to utilize at least all costs here, because the more defense, the better. Sustainability is never going anywhere, especially with this team, and you will absolutely floor anything. Even if it takes a while, you will actually floor it and continue moving on. But all in all, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that like button, which for heck, consider subscribing if you are new. We do daily videos, and I did tell you guys I was gonna get this dang video out today. I'm hoping I can get it out before 1, so probably 12 o'clock, but we'll only see from there. Well, but till next time, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace out.